Today on Trucks, we've got a ZR2 S10 in the shop that's going to get a pop-out rear window, bed cap, and rack. Then we've got the ultimate work truck from GMC. The professional has everything you'd ever need to get the job done, and then some. After that, we'll get Project Trail Boss ready for the paint booth. That's all today on Trucks.
Hello everybody, welcome to this week's show. Today we're going to work on a four-wheel drive S10 that already looks pretty good just the way it sits. Problem is, stock is never really good enough for Stace and I, so we're going to do some upgrades on this Chevy that'll not only give us more cargo space, but also make it more user-friendly for you outdoorsmen.
First thing we're going to start with is this back window. Now, as you can see, it already has a sliding rear window, but these things are not much more than a vent once you get down to it. So we're going to really open it up with a retractable rear window called the breezer. Now, to make room for that, I'm going to get started by popping off some of these interior panels.
While Stace is tearing apart the inside of our S10, I'm going to run this masking tape all the way around the outside of the window. Now, what this is going to do for us is protect the paint when we go to cut out the stock window. Whatever you do, don't skip this step, or you could end up doing some paint touch-up later on.
Now, another area where you need to be careful is popping off these interior panels because they're easy to break. Now, if you don't have a manual to help you, just take your time, use some common sense, and you should be able to figure out how they go. Now, on the S10, they pop out at the bottom and then slide up. Now you're ready to start cutting out your window. Now, the best way to do this is to take a razor knife and start cutting in here as close to the pinch weld as you can.
Now, like Stace told you before, the window we're going to put in our S10 is called the Breezer from Custom Concepts. Now, it comes with a complete frame, and you can get it with a standard texture look like ours is, or you can get it with a carbon fiber look. Now, it also has a removable safety glass and this really cool storage bag to keep it from getting scratched when you have it popped out.
Now, it is possible to take this window out using just a utility knife, but do yourself a favor. Go down and rent one of these cutoff tools. It'll make your life a whole lot easier, especially when you cut around these corners. Now, once you have the glass out, make sure that you come in here and clean off all this old urethane and junk so you have a nice surface to bond to. It's also a good time to start taking off this tape.
At this point, we can go ahead and apply the new urethane to the window. Now, keep in mind, on the S10, you need at least a 1/4-inch bead all the way around the outer frame. Once we have that finished up, we can go ahead and install it. You ready for the frame, man?
Yep. Now, when you set the window in place, make sure it's centered top to bottom and side to side. Now, once you have it how you want it, go ahead and press it in to where the flange meets up against the truck body. After that, take these special clips that come with the kit and snap them over the pinch weld. This will hold everything in place while the urethane sets up.
While the urethane sets up, I'll go ahead and show you how the breezer works. Now, with the window in place, if all you want's a vent, just pop it open to here. But if you really want to open things up, the entire rear window is removable.
Now that we know that everything's working right, we can start putting the interior back together. Now, it's real important to make sure that this urethane is cured before you start driving the truck down the road, or you could end up losing your new rear window. Also, for you sport truck guys, if you add a sunroof to this setup, you'll have the closest thing to a convertible that you can get without actually cutting the top off.
Now, granted, the Breezer definitely has an appeal for the street trucker, but it's also going to give us great access to the business end of our truck, especially when you consider the next upgrade we have in mind for this bow tie.
But before we show you what that's going to be, we need to take a break. Trucks will be back right after this.
Hey, man, you really think you can squeeze through there?
Look at this. Look at this.
Atta boy. Better you than me, man. It's time to set the cap in place. One of the coolest things about this cap from ARE is once you have it on there, you don't have to drill any holes in order to mount it. It it's simply held in place with these aluminum clamps that connect up under the rail so you won't scratch your paint, which is real nice if you ever decide to take your cap off for any reason.
Now the front of the cap has a rubber watertight seal that matches up perfectly with this breezer window we put in earlier.